Hello, everyone. Welcome to another masterclass hosted by the IAPC&M. I'm your host, Elena Nedeva, accredited practitioner coach, and I'm delighted to be here with you. As a reminder, this masterclass is recorded to ensure quality of the recordings. Please mute your microphones, but keep your videos on. This session today is going to be interactive, so please feel free to unmute yourselves when you would like to ask a question or put it in the chat. I will read it out loud for everyone. You're encouraged to fill in your CPD logs with takeaways and ideas. And in case you don't have a template, I will insert a link to a copy of the IAPC&Ms, which you're very welcome to use. So please grab your notepads, sit back, listen, and enjoy. Today with us is Barbara, conscious leadership, well-being, and neuroscience-based coach who helps high-performing businesses, entrepreneurs, and leaders sharpen their conscious leadership and business skills for higher performance, higher impact, and higher return on investment. The topic of today's masterclass is the business behind the coach: systems, strategy, and sustainable profit. All of us today will learn the following: how to set up a profit-making coaching business, how to be clear on the implementation plan for their backend, and resulting in an aligned backend, easily adjustable with new products and services. So without further ado, Barbara, I'm delighted to host you again. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Elena. Before I jump in, I'm just going to go ahead and share my slide so we can start right away. And okay, let me know if you can see my slide.
It is visible now. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so I'm really excited to be here to share information and what I've learned so far in this masterclass around just the business behind the coach, because I made a lot of mistakes when I started off as a coach. So I really just wanted to share that with everyone. So as Elena said, my name is Barbara. I am a conscious leadership strategist and also a neuroscience-based coach. So today we are really exploring three main things, and that is systems, strategy, and sustainable profit. So this is not about coaching mastery, because if you're on this program, I am assuming that you're already a coach or thinking about becoming a coach. And so you're finding your way to getting accredited and just doing your courses and just figuring out as you go along what will work for you. So it's mostly about running a coaching business. So how do we master that? And what I'm going to share are practical actions, actionable steps that you can take. And with that, a transformation of not just your coaching mastery after you get your certification, but how you can actually run a coaching business. So your coaching is not, or is the product, right? It's at the end, it's what you actually give to your clients, but it's not the business. And a few of the things or mistakes that I did when I started coaching was I did not put the hat of, oh, I'm running a business. It was like, oh, I'm just a coach and I'm just going to coach people. So I was just looking at the product and not sort of putting that into a business. And I'm seeing that a lot of coaches are struggling with that concept, that their coaching is the product, the end thing that they actually supply to their clients and customers. But if you're to create a business, you need to have a different mindset around that. So these are some of the challenges that come up when you're just wearing one hat, which is just the coach hat, right? You don't have a real back-end system. I definitely did not have one. There's no structured offer I was just offering people say, oh, I do coaching, just come in and we can just chat and then we'll see where we go from there. So there was no structure when I started. I was marketing randomly. Most of it was word of mouth, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, most of my clients are through word of mouth, but there was no strategy around that. And that's one of the things that is quite important, especially if you're wanting to have a sales funnel or a sales strategy. So having something that's defined and existing actually helps track and structure everything that you're offering to your clients. So I did not have a client journey, which meant that I had poor retention of my clients. They would come in for 1 or 2 coaching sessions. And as you know, with human behavior, we need to be able to do things over and over again for us to actually change and transform. So wearing just one hat, which was just the coaching hat, meant that I wasn't thinking from a CEO perspective. The CEO perspective is how our operations working, what is happening in the back end. And so I was just focusing on revenue and not as well as cash flow. And I'll tell you the difference between the two. Revenue is you might just have one product or one coaching session, and then that's it, right? You bring in money and then that's it. What I wasn't doing was saying, what am I putting in? What are the resources I'm putting in? What am I using? Because I'd love to have a positive cash flow into my business. Whatever I'm putting in, I also need to be able to bring in so that there's at least a balance and I can start making some profit. So I had a lot of things I was doing. I was busy. I had a lot of busy work, but there was no metrics to measure what I was doing. There was no direction. There was no back-end system. And as much as I had prepared, because one of the things I did when I left working a full-time job was I gave myself 12 months to actually start, running my own coaching practice. So I had prepared myself for 12 months. I knew exactly what I was going to do for 12 months. But because I had not created that back-end system that creates consistency, after like year 1.5, I started struggling in my coaching business because I was just seeing myself as a coach and not so much as a CEO or as a business owner. So these are some of the places that I got stuck. So we are shifting in this workshop and masterclass into running a coaching business. What does that look like? So your coaching, remember, is the product. It's your craft, right? You are a coach because of what you have learned. And then the other hat that you need to put on is the CEO hat, right? So that we can start running this business together. When we identify or clearly define the type of coach we are or we want to be, and then the type of CEO we are and want to be, as well as the business systems that actually align with the vision, then we can start seeing where the heart of that coaching business is. Because the heart of the coaching business, which is between coaching and CEO, that middle part is how we can start creating the systems that will allow us to actually generate positive cash flow, be able to sustain our progress and have more flow in our business. So we're going to be concentrating around just what is a coach, what is the CEO, and what does it mean to bring heart into system. So my coaching business, one of the things that I did over time, so my background is in psychology, anthropology. If you might not know what that is, it's the study of people and culture. I also studied neuroscience-based coach, which is how do we harness the mind and brain for higher performance, metaphysics, mindfulness, conscious leadership, conscious business ethics. So with all this knowledge and much more, I created 2 systems that we will use throughout the rest of this masterclass to help us create that system, the heart, and the system that brings everything together. So the first one is called the Mutedzi 3D protocol. Mutedzi is my last name, as you know. The reason why I have that at the top is because all the classes, all the lessons I learned from all these science subjects are brought into this system. How do we leverage science to be able to make sure that we're building systems that work for us, whether at personal, professional, or business level. The 3D, define, design, display. So it's a really soul-first coaching process. And again, I'll explain what that means. And we'll use these as examples in real time so you can see how to actually use the Mutedzi 3D protocol as you create your own system. The second one is the actionable strategy. I call it actionable strategy because if you might notice, a lot of organizations that I've worked with, they create these really beautiful strategies. They print them out, they hand them out to all their departments and their teams, but they're actually not actionable. You can't do anything with it. You can't translate it from paper to actually doing something about it. So I created what is called the actionable strategy. How do we put together a strategy that you can literally, when you print it out, hand it over to someone else and they can actually run your business if you want someone else to run your business, or you can do it for yourself as well. So how do you create an actionable strategy? 5 things. Define your purpose, your vision, your mission, your values, your implementation plan. So it allows you to have more clarity, because with more clarity, you're more focused, which means you're actually able to have more impact and a higher return on investment. Again, I'll give you examples as we go through so that these words, actually, we bring them into action, we bring them into fruition, we bring them through clarity. So the basics, why people should be coached by you. Elena will put a link in the comment section. We had a masterclass before this, which was actually called Why People Should Be Coached by You. So with the slide, I won't go into too much detail because you can always rewatch the recording that Elena will put the link in the comment section. But just a summary. What this means is you use the actionable strategy. Remember those 5 things, right? Who are you as a coach? What's your life purpose, right? What's your vision and what's your mission? What are your values and your implementation plan? What makes your heart sing? What makes you you? What's your creative power? All of those things, your personality. The reason why these are important is because you take yourself everywhere that you go. So even if you put on the CEO hat and you put the coaching hat, there's a human being behind that. So the more you know yourself, the easier it is for people to actually say, oh, I'm going to speak to Elena because I know who she is. I know what she values. I know what her purpose is, and it's aligned to what I want to do. So I'm going to move forward with her. So the more you know yourself, the easier it is for your business to be authentic to who you are. So just rewatch that recording and it will help you answer these questions in a little bit more in depth. But for today, we just wanted to browse through it because it is part of the session, sort of moving ahead with that. So know who you are. The second thing is, we're building the basics of the business. So we use the same elements, right? We are defining here. You first of all defined who you are as a coach. Now we are defining the business, right? So it's the same questions. When you sit down and think about your coaching business, or you want to build a coaching business, think about the actionable strategy. We want to define them with as much clarity as is possible. So why does my business exist? Why do I want my business to exist? That's really important, right? Your why is always important. And the stronger it is, the easier it is to come back to it. Let's say you go off track. The second thing is the vision. What are my long-term goals, right? And when do I want to achieve them? So you need to sort of put a timeline. When you say long-term goals, do you mean a year? Do you mean 2 years? What do you want to achieve financially, strategically, HR, whatever it is, all parts of your business? What is the long-term goal? Number 3 is you take those long-term goals and you break them down into short-term mission activities. So let's say you say that one of your long-term goals is to have 20 clients in the next year. So you break that down and say, okay, there are 12 months in a year. If I want 20 clients in 1 year, how many clients do I need a quarter, a month, a week, a day to be able to achieve that long-term goal? So you're breaking it down. Number 4 is the business values and how we embody them. So one of my pet peeves is, you walk into an organization, they have a beautiful plaque on their wall and they say perhaps one of their values is professional. Let's take that as an example. And you walk to the reception desk and the receptionist does not even look up and say, oh, hi, what do you want? They're probably writing something or on their phone or they're busy doing something else and they don't even look up. And for me, that's not being professional. So your values are not about just putting a plaque or writing your values down. It's how do you embody them in everything that you do. So everything that you do, those activities, the mission activities, how do you make sure that you're doing them in line with your values? The implementation plan is you take your mission activities and say, okay, these are the things I need to do every day, every week, for the next month or quarter for me to achieve whatever I want to achieve as my vision. Then against each of those things, you can literally create an Excel sheet. These are the activities. Then what are the resources that I currently have to make sure that I achieve these activities? You can also write resources that you don't have. But here's the thing. When you write resources that you don't have, most likely you won't do anything about it because you'll just be waiting. So rather look at what you do have so you can start working on your business strategy now. And then maybe in the future when you've got more resources, then obviously you can add on to that. So that's your business action strategy. So we've defined the coach, we've defined the business. Now we want to go even deeper in defining the coaching, right? So we've defined the coach. We want to now really align your coaching to your soul. What is soul? Soul is just really the very essence of who you are, right? It's not the title, like, yes, my name is Barbara Mutedzi. I'm a conscious leadership strategist. I'm a neuroscience-based coach. It's not that. It's who are you really inside before the titles. So we are looking here at the coaching. And here are some of the questions you can ask yourself to start really digging deep inside of you. If I'm going through these slides very quickly, I welcome or invite you to take screenshots perhaps, if that helps. And you're definitely going to get a link to or an email with all the attachments of the presentation and a link to the recording as well. So these questions sort of help you start to really connect with yourself. So the first question is, why do you want to be, or why are you a coach? Right? Really think about that. Why are you a coach and why do you want to be a coach? Who do you want to be or who do you want to coach? Why do you want to coach them? So it's really digging down into yourself. Once you've done that, then you say, okay, let's look at what I'm qualified in my experience and how that meets my clients' needs, right? So you want the whole coaching process to be an experience for you and your clients. So the more you know why you're doing what you're doing, the more you know what your clients are needing, the more it is easy for you to go on this journey of co-creating with your clients. So you're really tapping into, what does it feel to be a coach? How do I want to feel to be a coach? How do I want my clients to also feel? So you're looking at that word feeling and just connecting to that, because that really, really resonates when you start creating your products and your services. Let's look at the business, right? Who is it serving? So we've looked at you as the coach and your coaching, what it's serving within you, your soul, what it's serving within your clients. Let's look at your clients' needs. These are some of the questions you can ask, right? You have to ask yourself, who am I serving? Yes, you can serve all the 8.5 billion people in the world, which would be amazing. It is recommended to have a niche, right? And then obviously you can expand from there. So who are you serving and what are their needs? So I serve high-performing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs. Their needs are that they've got all the accolades, they've ticked all the social boxes, everything is going well, they're successful, but they're disconnected from their soul, the very essence of who they are. They've lost their purpose or lost sight of what they really need in their business. And that is presenting within, for example, when they go home, they're tired, they're exhausted, they don't want to go back to work, but they know they have to continue doing it because they are, leaders and they have to lead other people, but they're so disconnected from who they are. So I'm very clear on who I'm serving, and it's age group 35 plus or minus to 55. So the clearer you are on who you're serving, the easier it is to actually find out what their needs are, where to find them, how to find them, right? How they can also find, trust, and engage within your services, and also what language you can use for them to understand. Why is this important? It will help you with your marketing, because then you know who to target and where to target them and where to make yourself visible. All right, so just a summary on those two things. We are using, remember, the Mutedzi 3D protocol: define, design, display, the actionable strategy, purpose, vision, mission, values, implementation plan. Define as clearly as you can who you are as a coach. Define as clearly as you can who you are as a CEO and the business that you're going to run. Because when you do that, you are able to bring this together to create the heart of the business, and then to align that with systems that allow both the connection of coach and CEO together. Why is this important? It's important because then that creates more flow in your business, because it's aligned to who you are as a coach, it's aligned to who you are as a CEO, it's aligned to your business. It creates more freedom. It's scalable as well because everything is clear. So you're able to say, okay, this works, this doesn't, let me remove that, let me adjust that, right? You're able to align everything clearly. You're able to replicate it. Your business becomes profitable because you're clear on your long-term goals. It becomes purposeful and meaningful as well as sustainable. You're able to pivot it in case you might need to change your market, or maybe you need to create a new product for your market because your marketer says, no, we don't need this, Barbara. We need this other thing because that's what we're going through at the moment, right? You're able to actually also have a blueprint. Remember in the beginning, I said you can actually hand this document to someone you can hire as a CEO or to handle parts of your business, because everything is so very clear for you. And it moves you from just creating revenue, which is just a once-off, into actually creating cash flow, which is an amazing thing. So as you can see, alignment is not fluffy, because I know we speak about alignment and authenticity and all of those things in coaching. There's actually purpose in everything that we do. So when you are at the heart of it, when you really know who you are as a coach, who you are as a CEO, you are able to then say, okay, how do I bring this together so I can create a system that requires or allows, flow into that, and allows you to have flow, freedom, scalability, and all of these wonderful things as we go along. So the question to ask with all of this is, what systems and processes align with the heart of my business? So one of the things I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop my presentation because I'd love to just have some face time with you and just hear from your background and what you're already doing, what systems you're using, and if you have any questions so far from what we've shared, so that I can know that I'm serving you to the best of my ability and you're getting as much out of this as you can. So let me know, what systems are you using at the moment in your coaching business?
I see Lucica. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hello there.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know exactly what you mean when you talk about system, because I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Okay. So it's the back end of your coaching. For example, if you want to schedule clients in, if you want to create products, if you use marketing, perhaps you have landing page, maybe you use Canva to create your products. What's the system that you use to onboard and keep, retain your clients? How do your clients find you? So what is the process behind you actually coming up? Because remember, we said coaching is the end product, but what is the business behind the end product is what I mean by system.
Yeah, I think in this case, probably one of the mistakes that I did and I'm still doing is to actually set up the system before I actually have customers. And it's one of the things that I already see around me, like, oh, what do you use to like schedule? What do you use for payments? What do you use by that, by that? While the focus is like figure out first, yeah, your customers, talk to them, find them, have them in the first place. Again, the same thing with the niche, right? I felt a lot of pressure, and I'm still very early in my career, and I'm still struggling with everything, right? But I did feel a lot of pressure to say, find your niche, find your niche. And I was like, how do you ever find your niche? You have to have a little bit of like, experience first, and do not allow this pressure to actually make your life miserable, because otherwise you won't enjoy even coaching. So I think a lot of things are quite interesting. But the most difficult thing that I have found is this idea of how do I actually get to these people to actually be able to tell my story? Where are they? How do I find them? In my case, I actually work with a marketing mentor because this is definitely not my thing. So, and again, one of the stories that I think we don't really say, or maybe in my case, it was quite obvious, but very late, is the business of coaching takes way more time than coaching. I mean, all we want to do is coach, but maybe in my case, it's 75% not coaching.
Yeah.
Right. And then how do we create a system where, like a flywheel, because the flywheel is going to turn very slow at the beginning. I can have a goal for 1 year and then be completely frustrated because it wasn't realistic, because I don't know what realistic is. Right? Because a lot of people around us tell success stories, right? So in my case, what I'm doing right now is basically create some sort of community on LinkedIn, because the people that I want to serve are there. And then the challenge is, what kind of message, how am I different than everybody else? You're broadcasting on LinkedIn. And again, this is like a soul searching mission, because it's very slow and it's very deep.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you're so right. There's a lot of work that happens in the background. I've been coaching for more than 2 decades now, and some of the things that I've put in my system, I probably put them in the last 2 years. So your system does not have to be fully there. It's as soon as you find what works, then you keep that. A lot of it is trial and error. Let me try this for a little while, see how it goes. Do I like it? Do my clients like it? If not, then we'll move forward. And when it comes to finding a niche, I hear you. I fought against that in the beginning, and I feel like there's still some fight in me at the moment. What happens with the niche is it allows you to just create that first funnel. So you can just have an idea, and then obviously you can expand from it. So it's not so much to limit you, but just say, if I focus on this, how would that look like? And then that sort of gives you a template to expand as you go along. That's how I used that space. So you're very right. Do not feel pressured. And that's why it's important, those questions, right? Those soul-based questions around, why am I coaching in the first place? Why am I here? Right? Because it has to serve you as much as it serves your clients as well, because coaching is a give and take, right? You're speaking to a human being. You're not speaking to a robot, right? So we're giving off our energy and we're also receiving their energy. So the more you are clear, and I'll go back to that slide for you as well. Why am I here? And who am I, first of all, qualified perhaps to teach? Or who do I want to coach, right? Because I've got these resources, I've got this information. Who would I like to coach? So for example, when I started coaching young people. I was working for an organization as a research qualitative specialist, but I could find I was looking at the interns who were coming in and the attachment students who were coming in from university. And no one was helping them guide to how do you take the theory I learned from university and put it into actionable steps within the work environments. What does professionalism look like? Because I'm coming from a student mindset. How am I now becoming a worker? How do I become a professional person? What is my brand? And I could see that there was a big gap there. So for me, I was like, oh, I like young people. I'm a young person. I'm a high performer, which means the work that I'm supposed to complete for that work, I probably have finished it by Monday and then have to wait for everyone else. I've got lots of time. So I went to the HR department and said, I see that our young people are struggling. And I know that we're very busy. Sometimes we don't have time to, sit down with them and go through this. And I would like to support them and help them. And if they have any questions, they have someone in the department or in the whole organizations to come to ask. And I became a coach for them. And as I was doing that, I was creating content, I was creating presentations. And then the rest of the organizations, the older generation, also wanted that information because when they joined either that organization or the one before, they did not have that information. So my coaching started getting more and more, and it expanded from that perspective. So start from what feels right for you now, not because you're going to stay there. It's so that you can sort of create a system around that, and then that allows you to expand. That's the easier way that I found worked. Other people are happy to go jump in right away, but I get so confused. So I'd rather start with one thing. Then when one thing works, then I can bring in all the 10,000 other things. But I want to see the system of the one. So follow what makes sense for you. Remember the master classes, whatever someone teaches you or coaches you, it's not because you don't know anything. It's just to give you more insight, more information. Take what works, leave what doesn't. Because at the end of the day, the clients are facing you, not the person who gave you the advice.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And Lou, if you would like to have a separate conversation around this, I'm happy to give you 45 minutes of my time. Elena, I don't know if you've got my email address, just put it in the email address. And Lou, you can just reach out to me and I'll give you my calendar so we can chat more and I can help you with that. All right.
This is such a valuable guidance, Barbara, from you. Thank you so much. I will insert your email address into the chat box so that Lou can reach out to you.
Perfect. And I'm just going to go back to the presentations. I'm going to share my slide. Let's see if you... Okay, so I'm just going to go to that slide. So Lou, this is the slide I was talking about on, was it this one or the one before? Yeah. So this one, why you want to be a coach and who you want to serve, why you want to coach them, and then bringing in your qualifications and your experience and seeing how you can create like a whole coaching experience that feels good and right for who you are and feels good and right for your clients. And that will start the process of you sort of figuring it out and expanding from there. So you can take a screenshot and obviously you're going to get a copy of these slides as well. I'm going to move on. So I think the last slide, we talked about just alignment, right? And the question was what systems and processes align with the heart of your business. So I'm going to give you an example of what I use. So this is what I use. And bear in mind that this is, first of all, did not happen overnight. The first couple of years when I was coaching, I did not have this. I could not retain clients. I was not clear on what my actionable strategy was. I was still sort of connecting with what my purpose is, which is to help other people harness and control the power they already have within themselves to live and lead a life of and on purpose. That's my purpose. And I was, still clarifying my values. So I was also still sort of figuring out what my actionable strategy was as a coach, and then also building my business strategy around that as well. So what I use are two main things, website and social media. The system or the resources that I use online, I love WordPress because I create my own website and I change things around for myself, and WordPress is very easy for me. I like things that are simple and straightforward. So because I know who I am, WordPress works for me. Social media, the clients that I use, or the clients who I target are high-performing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs. Most of them, I find them on LinkedIn. So I use the LinkedIn platform. I made sure that my bio is very clear who I serve. I make sure that it's clear why me. I make sure what they will gain out of coaching with me. I offer them a free service as well, where they can sample the Mutedzi 3D protocol. So if you would like to sample the Mutedzi 3D protocol, you can actually go into my LinkedIn bio right at the end. There's a 7-day complimentary journey that you can sort of go through to give you an idea of what it is to define, design, and display not only your business, but your life and leadership as well. Products and services, I have an online course, so I use Teachable and Thinkific. And on those platforms, Teachable, you can use Stripe for payments or PayPal, and Thinkific as well. You can do the same. I think with Thinkific, it's Stripe. I create my ebooks in Canva, and then everything is on Kit. Kit used to be called ConvertKit. And so I use that as my customer space where I make sure that I'm retaining my clients. And each of the products and services have a sequence. What I mean by that is when someone buys a product, they obviously get a link, let's say, to an ebook that they can download. There's a follow-up email a couple of days later to just check in on them, make sure they are okay. And also maybe a couple of days later after that, there's, if you have any questions, let me know. I am here to respond to your messages. After that, there's probably a follow-up to say, if you want to take it a step further, here's something else you can do. So Kit allows you to create those sequences. So my back end starts working for me, right? Even when I'm sleeping, because all these emails, I have created them before. So as soon as someone buys a product, they are put into that sequence, and that sequence runs for as long as it needs to run. So that's what I do. And then the next one is email marketing. So I use Kit as ConvertKit as well. I can schedule my newsletter. I send out a weekly newsletter to high-performing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are signed in. How do they sign in? They've signed in either from past conversations. Some of the LinkedIn posts that I always put a link to say, if you want to sign in for a weekly newsletter, feel free to sign up and you receive something in your email box every week. What I do with that newsletter is I repurpose it, right, for short social media posts. And I use what is called Buffer to schedule posts in advance. And that sort of helps me. There are other platforms that you can use. You can actually use LinkedIn itself to schedule posts in advance. There are specific ones. I can't think of them right now. But if you go like on Google or ask ChatGPT, what are the social media scheduling platforms that I can use, that also helps you. So I work according to my energy. Some days I feel like working, some days I feel like I don't want to work, but I still want to be visible online for my clients or potential clients. So my creative power is writing, and that's why ConvertKit or Kit works very well for me, because I love writing. I love speaking as well, but I don't speak as much as I write, because as much as sometimes I come across as an extrovert, I'm actually an introvert and I love spending time by myself. And writing and journaling is one of the things that fuels my creativity. So Kit allows me to be able to do that through newsletters and also just repurposing content. So again, the more you know yourself, you know who you are, your personality, your creative, ability, whatever it is that serves you, the more you can actually put that into the business. So that's your coaching hat, right? And then the CEO hat, what is the platform that serves me so that I'm creating heart with system together? And then networking, just like Lou, I'm on LinkedIn, connecting with different people, people in my niche industry, other coaches, just finding out what's out there. I'm commenting on posts every day, and just, coaching as well on LinkedIn, and that helps very much. I am offering free resources. So at the moment, I've got 3 free ebooks. So if there's a comment that comes up and someone needs some information, I send them that ebook. I've got email courses that I also have on Kit. This sounds like a lot of work. Again, I'll reiterate, this did not happen overnight. Did not happen overnight. I'm always adding things on as I go along. So coaching delivery, Teachable Thinkific Kit. I use Google Drive sometimes if I need to send, for example, my main coaching program is 6 months long and it's got 20 coaching worksheets. So I send links to my clients each week who have signed up for that program where they can download their worksheet from Google Drive. So that's easy. Emails, I've got an admin email and then I've got a personal email. So for example, if I want to expand my business and hire someone, they can now handle, right, the admin email and I can focus on the personal business one. Scheduling, if I want to schedule a consult with someone, I send them a link to my Calendly that I've created, which links them to Zoom or to Google Calendar and Meet. These are just examples of what we can start creating in the background to just make it easy. So for example, with Lou, I said, here's my email address, reach out to me and I'll send you a link to my calendar because I've already created that link already. So it just makes everything easier for us as opposed to sending emails back and forth. Onboarding process, I've got something in my kit already pre-programmed. If someone has signed up for something, they get an email to say, okay, these are the next steps. Please sign this or please download this. And everything is very clear for them. The contracts, invoicing, payments, everything is also pre-programmed on Kit. And, it accepts Stripe payments. So that's very easy for me. I don't have to worry about sending bank details and things like that. Client retention, Kit newsletter every week, LinkedIn every day. My profile is always up to standard. I always change it here and there sometimes. And I use Buffer for scheduling. And then client engagement is ongoing. I'm always asking questions, what do you need? Where are the gaps? How can I support you? Here's a resource. If I've coached them, recommendations and things like that. So that's what I use in a nutshell. Here's another example that I took from Google. There are different ways. So other people use, for example, their coaching delivery, they use Kajabi or Paperbell. Client portal tracking, they use Notion or Coach Accountable, and so on and so on. So, and this one is a very simplified one compared to mine. So it's what can you start doing that fits with who you are as a coach? Remember, you're wearing the coach hat and you're wearing the CEO hat. Bring them together. What's the heart of your business? Then create your system according to the heart of the business. So we've talked about defining you as a coach, defining your coaching process. We've talked about designing, your process, your coaching process, your coaching system, your dashboard. You design it according to the heart of your business. The third D of the Mutedzi 3D protocol is display. And what display means is you want to engage with the habits and behaviors that will help you stay on track to what you've defined and designed. So when you created the implementation plan, for example, remember we have, with the actionable strategy, we have purpose, vision, mission activities, values, implementation plan. The implementation plan, you've taken the mission activities, looked at the resources that you have. So resources can be time, can be finances. Perhaps you have someone who helps you with your business. Perhaps you outsource parts of your business. So for example, if I've done a masterclass like this, I take this recording, I send it to an organization who've got interns in the organization who can then break it down into short clips that I can then post or schedule through Buffer for those to be posted on LinkedIn. So someone else can do that, right? So it's listing all of those activities and also knowing what the metrics are. Why am I doing this? What's the purpose? Who am I going to target? Where am I going to place it so that they can actually reach these people that are looking for these services? It's about asking yourself whether you have a quarterly meeting with yourself, maybe a monthly meeting, 6-monthly meeting, a yearly meeting, whatever it is that's good for you, asking what's working within my system, what's not working. So for example, I used to use MailChimp, but I moved on to ConvertKit because at that time, MailChimp did not have any sequences. Either that, or actually I did not know how to use the sequence on MailChimp. I don't remember. But ConvertKit, when I went onto it, seemed easier. And so when I went into start scheduling the sequences and the emails, it was so easy for me to upload things that I created already. So that was what was working for me. So always asking what's working, what's not working, right? Am I staying on track with what I set out to do? What did I set out to do, right? Know your purpose and your long-term goals, your vision, because that's what you can use to track whether you're on track or not, right? What are my clients saying? Have their needs changed? Have they stayed the same? What in this process can I delegate? Perhaps this whole system is just too much work for me. Who can I hire to create the system? I can tell them what I want, and maybe they can create that system for me, right? Is there something I can automate? What can I remove or what can I upgrade? So it's really about just doing all of those things. And also just asking yourself as a human being, what do I need, want, or desire to change in the way I'm pitching up for myself, pitching up for my clients, or even the whole coaching that I'm going about? So the display part is just staying on track with what you have set out to do. So just moving on to summary now as we start ending. So remember, coach, CEO, it's both hats. You find the heart of the business because the heart of the business will allow you to have more flow, more freedom, more scalable systems and processes that are replicable, profitable, purposeful, meaningful, and all the lovely, juicy things. And yeah, so you can use the examples that I put there. So you will get a copy of this presentation through Elena. And also remember the link that she put in the chat that has a link to our previous session on why people should be coached by you. These are extra resources that you can use through me if you choose to. Elena will also put the links in the chat. So the first one is if you really want to realign your business and be clear on what your business strategy is, right? Your purpose, vision, mission, values, implementation plan. We sit down together and we make sure that that is clear for you. So Elena will put the link in the comment section. So that's one resource. The second resource, remember at the beginning I spoke about I used to work in a full-time organization and I gave myself a year as an exit strategy to actually start running my own coaching business. So I created an ebook around that to say, how do you transition from an 8-to-5 full-time job to running your own business? And I wrote down every single step that I took just as a foundation to start building that system that actually works for me. So those are the two resources that are available for you. And feel free to reach out at any time should you need to go ahead with that. that is the end of the presentation for today. And we can move on to additional questions and discussion. We've got about 10 minutes of our time, and we can just expand on what we've learned today. And if you want to go and take a look at my website, it is called designyourlifefoundation.com, because I am about designing people's lives, people's leadership, people's businesses. And my email address, very easy as well. Same thing, designyourlifefoundation@gmail.com. And that's my admin email. I'm going to stop my presentation for now. And yeah, open the floor to any questions, any clarifications that you have from what we've shared so far.
Barbara, thank you so much for this presentation packed with so many useful tools. Your experience and knowledge, which can serve all of us as a practical guiding light. So thank you once more for being so generous.
Of course, my pleasure.
Yeah. Lou, is there a question that you wanted to ask?
Oh, I'm still digesting a lot of the information right now.
It is
Just
quite
wondering,
a lot. I do provide a ton of information. I've been told that. So it's good. You get to sit back and see what works for you and what doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of trial and error, right? It's like this doesn't work, does work.
Yeah.
I was kind of impressed by what you say around don't focus on what you don't have. But in my case, for example, because I see a lot of coaches in me diversifying their business. They just don't have a one income stream. They have maybe multiple income streams.
Mhm.
And sometimes they say, okay, coaching maybe is not enough, so I can do also training and stuff like that, right? So in this case, what I found interesting about my own journey was that I have never offered this kind of services. So, but at the same time, even if I don't have the knowledge, I can find partnerships that can compensate. So I don't have it, but I'm so curious about it. And I want to explore that I can also focus on what I don't have if I have time, enough time to say, oh, I want to explore this and explore this, right? So I don't know. What I don't know from other coaches is how much this initial, because not a lot of conversations are out there about the first 2 years, maybe running in circles. How were they? And what is it that I still don't know is how much time do we need to prepare for until the flywheel starts turning by itself? Right. I'm not sure. For example, in my case, I kind of jumped in because I was so curious, but I have to admit, I didn't know anything. And also, I didn't know what I didn't know. Right. And now I'm exploring and I'm discovering one step at a time. And it's like, oh, this is so much, much more work than I imagined. Maybe I should focus more on this and I should have, not focused at all on other social media. Maybe LinkedIn works better than Instagram. So these kind of things. I think the first 1, 2, 3 years is something that maybe new coaches need more support with. In terms of how do we get the flywheel running?
Yeah, absolutely. I do support. I would have loved to have support. The biggest challenge I had in the first couple of years was actually pricing. And the unfortunate thing is the people in my circles around that time were not very free within themselves to talk about money. And so that was really hard to figure that out. And it would have been lovely to have support. And I am so free now to talk around every single element that was not helpful for me so I could help support other people. What I know has worked later on in life, which I wished I would have known in the beginning, was connecting with other people who are already doing well in that space and who are also open to support you. So yes, there are people who do well, but they're not always open. But finding the people who are open to support. And that would have been very helpful. That's number one. The second thing, which is probably a recent thing, or it's become more popular recently, is you talked about partnerships, becoming partners with other coaching organizations who are looking for coaches at different levels because they've got different level clients. So for example, I am working with an organization in Southern Africa who it's a coaching organization, and they have a number of contracts with a number of big organizations across Southern Africa, and they need a multiple number of coaches. So they've hired me for a specific niche or specific group of clients that they have. And so that's not my business, but I'm still using my coaching process and my coaching methodology together with theirs together. So that's another sort of income stream in case maybe my business is not doing well. I need some time to figure out my process. Maybe sales are not as good, but I still need income to come in so I can create that positive cash flow. So you're very right. It's not about looking for resources that you have on your table. It's about looking as well out there and having an even more open mind to say, you know, what are other people doing? Can I partner up with someone else? Can I also create an affiliate? So for example, with Kit, one of the things that I do is if you're writing a newsletter, they have a system where other creators on the platform can recommend your newsletter and you can recommend their newsletter to your following. So there are different ways where you can sort of start engaging with people and building your audience. I do believe it takes a number of years, but it does not have to be pinching pennies for the first couple number of years. One of the biggest fears that I had when I went into coaching was I did not want to go back to live with my parents, right? It's coming back to asking your own questions. Okay, so what would happen for me to go live with my parents? I don't have enough cash flow to support myself. Okay, what financial system do I need to create on a personal level, a professional level, and a business level to make sure that I'm creating as much as possible a positive cash flow, or at least having a system in place so that when money comes in, I am it's not just going to things that I can't afford, whether it's a system, whether it's whatever process I've created, because some of the processes you do have to pay. Some of them, there's a free platform that you can use for, number of time. So it's actually just looking at what are my fears as well, and what can I do to nullify those fears? Where can I get more information? What resources do I need? What that does is it allows you or your nervous system to say, okay, we are okay. We're nowhere new to this. We are okay. We see what the fears are. We've found ways of nullifying them. And it also gives you room to work on those fears. Because remember, we can only coach or lead other people to the level at which we, our own selves, are at. So the more we face our fears or blocks or challenges, the easier it is for us to actually expand and be even more visible and helpful for even more people, because people have different challenges in their own lives. So it's important that we also know ourselves as coaches. So I hear you. Just to summarize, just find ways you can engage in different ways. It's not just what you have in your own toolbox on your table. What are other people doing, and who is willing to support you on that journey? And then ask as many questions as you can, because that helps clarify as you go along.
If you were to start again right now, would you still recommend, for example, writing a newsletter? Does it work for you, or did it work for you? Would it work for you now? Because LinkedIn is already having their newsletters, and also I'm just kind of wondering what is people's attention span these days.
I hear you. So I actually have two newsletters. I do have one on LinkedIn, and then I do have the separate one. But it's all the same content in different ways because people take in content differently. So sometimes it's videos. It's mostly just posts at the moment, but I'm going to go into posting more videos. I like writing. That's what I do. So I looked at what am I good at? I'm good at speaking. I am good at writing. Not only good at it, I love it. And that's what's important for me. I don't want to do things I don't love. I've lived half my life doing things I don't love. It's just too strenuous and just tiresome. I don't want to do that. And I'm privileged enough to choose what I do love to do. So I love writing. I express myself through writing. I do it anyway naturally because I journal every day. And sometimes those thoughts, I'm like, my client might actually feel this might be helpful. Let me put it in the newsletter, right? So it just helps me lay that down. Some people like drawing. Some people like speaking more than writing. So maybe they go for more speaking engagements. So they're more visible online and then people can reach out to them one-on-one. Maybe they do workshops or masterclasses like this. And so you can find platforms that you can use. Maybe just working on LinkedIn is what works for you, right? So for me, my newsletter serves two things. It serves me and it serves my current clients. And LinkedIn and social media serves me because I like to coach, I like to speak, I like to teach, and it serves potential clients who will see my content. So I'm generating content for both old and potential clients, which makes my system just continue renewing. These clients, I bring them in here as much as possible because LinkedIn is not mine. It's not mine. It could just shut down anytime. And the algorithm, I don't understand the algorithm sometimes. People say it changes. That overwhelms me. So I'm like, okay, I'll use it to the best of my ability. But as much as possible, I'll bring clients here because in Kit, the newsletter, each time I send a newsletter, I'm also sending them links to my services. So Kit actually serves, yes, to create the content, teach, and also as a sales and marketing tool. That's how it serves me. So the more you ask questions about what serves me, what do I love, the easier it is for you to find a process that serves what it is, feeds into you. Because coaching takes a lot of energy. As much as we love it, it takes a lot of energy. So even after this workshop, I'm not going to speak to anyone for the next 2 days because my introvert self is going to just go into a corner, shut the curtains and just relax, recoup my energy. So it does, as much as I love it, it takes a lot of energy. So the more you engage with processes in the background that feed who you are, the easier it is for you to sustain and pivot and to actually just move forward, bit by bit as you create your coaching process and business.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We've reached the end of the masterclass. Appreciate this profoundly useful, generous masterclass on how we can align coaching with business. So thank you so much and look forward to hosting you once more. And best of luck with all of your endeavors. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.